what we're working on right now is the bilge pump. This bilge pump failed, and it lasted for about 6 years, and did its job well. I'm impressed, and now we get a new one. The new one is the same model, but you can always change models, doesn't matter. The important thing is the tip. Making sure the tip fits to your existing bilge pump line. So we've located the bilge pump line, of course. It was on the bilge pump. And we cut the wires right down to the bottom. That way we can salvage and have more length, more room to work with. Or you can do it right if you want and go to where you crimped on the new wires and go from there. In our case, we went that route. Next thing I did was I got some heat shrink connectors, and they're very simple. I have 2 on. I'm going to put the 3rd on now. And this is a very easy job to do. It's not entirely difficult. So we get the line wire on there, crimp it down. Not too hard, you don't want to cut through it. We test it, make sure it's snug. Now we take the bilge pump, and we have to match the wires. So here we have a brown wire with a white stripe. Brown wire, white stripe. We have a black wire, that's solid black wire. We have a solid brown wire. So we'll begin with the black. Pause it. The trick to getting these wires into the butt connectors is to twist them. Pliers are twisted, holding onto the connector with your pliers, your electrical pliers. You shove that baby right down in there. Didn't work, so we're going to twist again. Twist, 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 twist. And in we go. Still didn't work. Cut it. Alright, we're on our last wire. And she goes. Sometimes this can be difficult because you got to get the crimper on the inside of the handle on this particular one, and it's tight. Our next step is to do a little test, and it works. The float mode we won't know until she's in the water. Now, a lot of people have these torches and this and that, and that's recommended, but you don't always need a torch. A lighter works just fine. And all you do is put it up. You gotta make sure they're heat shrink. If they don't say heat shrink, then sorry, but it ain't gonna shrink. And we light up the other end, and we just apply a regular burn throughout the entire connector, and you'll start to slowly see it shrink. And when it starts to shrink, it's when you start to lay off. That one went a little bit too long. Now we do the next one. Same deal. Just apply a gradual overall flame, never keeping it in one area too long. And then we move to the next one. So what? It's about 10 seconds for each connector. Stop it. Alright, well, now that the electrical connections have been shrink wrapped, and we're ready to move on to the next phase, which is installing the existing out line. In this case, it's as simple as it looks. You stick it on, making a light twist as you move through. It's It's important when you go to install your bilge pump that the twist is correct, so your line isn't trying to turn the bilge pump. In this case, I think will work. Now, a bilge pump is very important. It's your last line of defense in keeping water out of your boat. Here you can see a manual bilge pump. Up in the cockpit I can be steering and I can crank water out. This lever and it'll suck the water out. So with that and then this bilge pump and then buckets if need be, you can get it done. The last thing you want to do is you want to coil these wires up and stow them somehow so they don't get entangled, because you could have something in your bilge and if it's banging around it'll catch these wires and over time you'll lose your power supply. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to test it, make sure we have good flow. I can tell because the line gets swelled up and it moves, and the float works as well. So that's what it looks like right there. So you have the automatic where it goes on whenever the water level's too high, and then manual you have to push over hard. And that whole deal is another video on installing your bilge pump from the battery. Thank you again.